Hey guys, so welcome back to the channel. I know I promised this bread video a long time ago, and turns out I didn't like the first one I shot, so I decided to do it over. I needed to make more bread anyway, so not a big deal. So anyway, thank you for hanging out with me today. This is not going to be a tutorial of any kind because I'm terrible at those. I'm not really trying to teach anybody how to make bread. I'm really just going to make the bread that I need to make and just chat with you guys while I do it. And talk to you about why making bread is important to me. It's something as simple as that means a lot to me, and I want to explain to you why that is. So just hang out with me. I'm going to kind of show you what I'm doing, but yeah, I'll link a recipe if you're looking for that. But yeah, not a tutorial because I'm not good at those. So anyway, again, thank you for being here, and let's get into it. Okay, first thing I want to show you guys, I've got my large mixing bowl here because I'm doubling today's recipe. I'm doing that because this same white bread recipe can also make cinnamon rolls, and I'm going to do both today. I usually make sourdough cinnamon rolls, but I'm not keeping sourdough right now, so this is the easiest thing, and I think my kids like it better. So we're going to double our recipe for the dough, and then I'll split it and do our loaf bread and our cinnamon rolls. So it's going to require 2 eggs, and you know I had to get you 2 different colors there. Some warm water, instant yeast is what I'm using. You can use the active dry yeast, but this is instant. Bread flour, vegetable oil, and you can use honey or sugar. I prefer the honey, and a little bit of salt. So let's get this mixed up. All right, real quick, let me show you what we've got here. This recipe is really just 7 components. You have your flour, sugar, salt, yeast, water, egg, oil. That's how I remember it. It has to be simple or I will not stay with it. What you normally do is your dry ingredients in your bowl, liquid ingredients in the cup. In my case though, since I'm using Redmond salt, I put it in here so it can dissolve in the warm water because that stuff's kind of coarse, and if you just put it in the flour, when you bite into your bread, sometimes it feels like there's sand in there. So I don't care for that. So my salt is actually in here to dissolve. And in also my case, in place of the sugar, I'm using honey. So look, flour, honey, salt, yeast, water, egg, and oil. Okay. So because I'm using instant yeast, I don't have to worry about it blooming and putting it in water for like a minute and letting it bloom. You just add it to your flour. It's ready to roll. Okay. And a not so pro tip, what I like to do is I use the same measuring spoon for my oil and my honey, and I just do the oil first. So when you put the honey in there, it just slides right out. There's not a sticky mess inside that you got to scrape out. So if you didn't know that, you learned something today. All right, so let's just pour this together and mix it up. So I'm just going to stir this and talk to y'all. Then I'll show you what it looks like when it's completely incorporated. But y'all, the camera angles in this tiny kitchen are just hard to get. I don't know how people do it, but one day I'll figure it out. So what I'm doing is just mixing this up. And I have a little flour reserved in case it seems like it's too wet. The thing with a bread dough that I've heard and I've experienced is it kind of depends on, I guess, the humidity or something. I don't know. As you can follow a recipe, but sometimes you need a little more or less flour. So out of the 6 cups I put in here, I've got a little set aside in case this dough is a little too wet. And sometimes it does come out that way, and I think it is a little wet, so I might add a little bit more. It's supposed to be sticky, but I think I might add just maybe a 1/4 cup or less more to it, but we'll keep mixing just to see first. Also, if I was just making cinnamon rolls and not a loaf of bread too, I would probably have put a splash of vanilla in my liquid ingredients just to add a little more flavor to the cinnamon rolls, but my kids don't know one way or the other when I do that. So since I'm making bread too, and we don't want vanilla bread, we'll just leave that part out. They won't know the difference. There'll be vanilla in the icing, so that'll make up for it. There it is. So now we've got it covered. I'm just going to let it rise. I'm going to set it on the back of the stove. Okay guys, while we're waiting on the bread dough, I wanted to share with you a little bit of my heart about why making bread is important to me. I remember wintertime is a hard season for me, and we're right on the brink of it. I mean, I know we're just mid-October, but it gets all that does is remind me that winter is so close. And I remember when I first started making the bread, I guess it was a couple of years ago, I felt like if I remember correctly, we were in the throes of winter. I can't remember exactly when it was, but I'll have to look back and see. But I seem to remember it being in the wintertime. And that's a hard season for me. Very, very difficult season for me. I feel like winter, it's winter and gray outside, but it also becomes winter and gray inside my mind. And I felt very restricted. There's not a whole lot you can do outside, especially the ground's frozen. You can't work in the garden. I don't have a big greenhouse where I wish I could go and go out there and grow things year round, and I can't do that. And maybe someday, but that's not today. And I feel stuck and stagnant, and that is a painful place for me to be. So it's very easy for me to, I guess I would call it seasonal depression. Seasonal depression hits hard in the wintertime. I'm actually, since I know that about myself, I'm doing things to get ahead of it right now. But nevertheless, making bread, I always thought making bread was so complicated. I never even looked into it because it just seemed complicated to me. I just wouldn't let myself, like I told you in the beginning of the video, the recipe has to be simple or I will not do it. Something needs to be simple for me to remember it and feel like I can tackle it, because I get overwhelmed in my mind. And this particular season, when I first made bread, I just decided to go for it. I have to learn something. I need to be moving forward in some kind of way. I can't work outside. I can't be doing anything with the chicken coop or garden or making plans for anything else, because we're usually covered in snow. The ground's frozen. It's hard to even get off the mountain in the wintertime. It's difficult. So I did something on the inside. So I gave myself a new skill, the gift of a new skill. So I made bread, and I found a simple recipe on YouTube, followed it. The bread turned out great. I was so excited. And it just moved me inside. Just being able to tackle something that I thought was complicated, found out it's really not. I mean, some breads can be. This is just your basic white bread. I'm not getting into any kind of artisan loaves or anything like that. Maybe someday. But right now, I'm just happy to be able to make homemade white bread that feels better on my stomach. I have a lot of stomach trouble. I'm not gonna lie to you and say I don't still buy a loaf of bread from the store, partly because the bread that I make, my kids like it, but they like it hot, fresh out of the oven with some butter in the form of a roll. This recipe works for dinner rolls too, by the way. So if I make dinner rolls, they'll enjoy those, but they don't like it so much for their sandwiches because it's bigger. It's like a big slice of bread, and they don't care for that for sandwiches. And also, I do buy bread for their lunches and whatever, but because sadly we're still in a convenience culture, we're still sort of tied, even though we're trying to break free from that, we're not there yet. And homemade bread doesn't last super long. I mean, you got 3 really good days, 4 maybe, and then that's it. You gotta make some more, and we're busy. I still work outside the home. Jeff works a lot. The kids have gotten older. They're seldom ever here. So there's not a whole lot of people to make bread for, I guess. I don't know. It's just things have changed. But I do still enjoy making it. I love knowing the skill, because if there comes a day where I can't go get bread, I can make bread. So it took a little fear away. I am prone to fear. And I would say this simple act of making a loaf of bread for myself, it shattered a little bit of fear. It gave me a little peace and comfort inside. So just having that skill tucked away, knowing I can do something like that, provide a little nourishment for my family, should I not be able to get to any. I don't know, it's just, I like knowing things, and once you know something, it can't be taken from you. But anyway, there's more to it. So one other thing I wanted to share with you is one particular day not long ago, I guess maybe a year ago or so, I was studying the Lord's Prayer, and while I knew the Lord's Prayer, I'd never really got into breaking it down. And when this particular time, I love using this tool, this app called Bible Hub, where you can go in and look at the words in the original language and look at what they mean. And I'll try to put it up on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. But in Bible Hub, you can go into scriptures and click on words. Every word's a hyperlink, and you can go in there and look at the words. And I did that with the word bread. And I know that bread is one of those words that, of course, we know what that means. I mean, why would you need to dig into that? But I also know that even something that is seems so literal and cut and dry in the scriptures can also have a deeper meaning. There's a lot of things that Jesus taught that had such a deeper meaning than just what you read surface level. And so I'm not opposed to clicking on the word bread to go deeper. And what I found was that the word bread does mean bread. I mean, literally does mean bread. He is going to provide. He's saying that you're asking your Heavenly Father to provide for your basic needs. And we need nourishment. We have to have food to survive. And we count as God's children. He promises to provide those needs. So the word bread does mean bread. But it also, I keep looking down because I'm looking at my phone. If you were to click on it, give us this day our daily bread. Now think about that line in that prayer. And when you click on it, you do see that it means bread. But also, in a figurative way, it also means divine provision, which we know. I love this, y'all. All the sustenance God supplies to yielded believers, that's important, to yielded believers scene by scene, to live in His preferred will. So when you're asking God to give you this day your daily bread, you're not just saying, provide my nourishment for today physically. You're saying, be with me in every scene of my life. What you already know what I'm going to face today. I might start work at 9, but you already know what my 10, 11, and 12 o'clock look like. You know what's going to happen by lunchtime. You're already in that with me. What have you had? We're talking about the scene of your cancer diagnosis, or the scene of the accident, or the scene of your divorce, or a loved one going through a drug addiction. It's not always bad things, but my mind tends to go there because I have seen God do such redemptive work in some very, very hard things. So I let my mind go back to that, so I never forget what He's done. And to think about Him being part of my life scene by scene. He knows what the next scene is before I get to it. And He's already making provision for that. And it just fills me with such hope and peace and calm, because I am one that is prone to fear. I actually have a leather bracelet that I wear that I had made, and I actually put faith over fear on it, just so when I wear that, I see that. Just one of those simple, even silly reminders, but because I'm so prone to fear. And my mind is a battleground where I can think the worst, and I can go into these places where I get overwhelmed and anxious. And when I rest in God's sovereignty, but also His supernatural provision for me, that He has allowed me to learn how to make bread, but He's not just giving me food. He's given me everything I need to carry out His preferred will in my life. Now,
remember that part where it says for yielded believers. You have to be yielded to him to be able to follow that guidance. I do believe that he is with us in everything either way. However, you're going to know it. You're going to sense it. You're going to sense that loving direction. You're going to feel that presence all the more when you choose to be yielded. When you surrender that every single day. Because every single day is a battle. You are facing darkness every single day. You wake up, if you're like me, you wake up and immediately the dread of everything hits. Your overwhelming task list, or if there's any kind of issue in your family and you're like, man, we still haven't dealt with that, or I'm worried about that, or if you're a mom and or a dad, you're always worried about your kids, and even, I mean, it doesn't matter what's going on. The world is a mess, and you have all, the weight of everything on your mind. If you're like me, the moment you open your eyes, or maybe even before you just kind of, you're stirring around, coming awake, and it's like all of a sudden, all the thoughts of everything. Have I done good enough? Am I good enough? Ministry things, and job things, and family things, and what do I do now? Business things. And I just want to be obedient. I just want to be obedient in all those things. And sometimes I forget that it's not up to me to accomplish everything. It is up to us to be obedient. It is up to him to accomplish the purpose and the plan. I think I've heard it said, obedience is ours, outcome is his. So you want to yield to him. You want to get up, start your day, pray however you pray. But remember that you want to yield your heart and life to him so that he is making that provision for you scene by scene. Yield to him, let him work, and trust him with the outcome. Because as man makes his plans, God guides his steps. I make a lot of plans. Not a lot of them come to fruition, partly because I'm probably making them apart from him. But then there are things that do happen that I didn't ask for. And he's leading me in a direction that I didn't know I needed to go. So I'm thankful that he cares enough about that. He cares so much about us to make provision for everything. Food, clothing, shelter, and just talking with my best friend yesterday, even when we don't know how to pray, we have the Holy Spirit who intercedes for us. So even in that, he's providing. He's providing even when we don't even know how to form a prayer. He wants to make provision for you today. If I've encouraged you to bake a loaf of bread, then get to it. But while you're doing that, think about your daily bread. Think about the bread of life. Because there's so much more when you taste that fruit of your labor, where you have made something homemade, delicious, and healthy for your family. Let that physical thing take you so much deeper into a more spiritual thing, and think about the bread of life who truly wants to make provision for every part of your life.
Looky here, y'all. I think she's ready. Not going to bore you with the whole 10-minute knead thing, but I don't have a mixer with a dough whisk. I have a tiny, tiny cabin, tiny kitchen. There's no room for things like that. So when I say this is done by hand, it is legit done by hand. But I do want to show you that what I'll do is divide this dough, because half is going to be my loaf bread, half is going to be the cinnamon rolls. I have a floured surface for the cinnamon roll dough, because that's going to be done a little bit differently. I don't need to knead that. I'm just going to knead it for a second and get it incorporated, and then flatten it out, do my cinnamon roll stuff. And then here I will knead the bread dough for about 10-ish minutes until all the gluten is formed, and then we will shape it into a loaf and let it rise, do its second rise. So that's my next step. Just going to divide this up, put it in either place. Couple minute knead, 10-minute knead, then we'll go on to the next. So all kneaded and shaped into a loaf and waiting for the second rise. As for the cinnamon rolls, I like the shape of this cutting board, so I usually just try to roll the dough out to match this shape, because that's the perfect size to make a good roll and get several cinnamon rolls out of it. So that's what we're doing here, and then we'll put the filling on and cut it into individual rolls. The filling is simply some softened butter with some brown sugar, white sugar, and cinnamon. And I prefer softened butter to melted because it makes a spreadable paste rather than something that's super runny and makes a mess. This is a lot easier to spread over the roll. Our cinnamon rolls are cut and put in this buttered iron skillet, and they're going to sit here through their second rise, and then we're going to get ready to bake off our loaf of bread. Let's take a look. Oh, nice. These are ready to go. Our bread has just come out and it is looking beautiful. Little lopsided, but that happens. Hey, it's homemade. It's rustic. Let's put these rolls in and get those done. These turned out beautiful. Let's get some icing on them. This icing is nothing but powdered sugar, some milk, or you could use heavy cream or half and half, and a splash of vanilla. I let them cool a little bit before I iced them. Otherwise, the icing will just sort of melt into it. You kind of want it to sit on top. Well, it's been a productive day. I'm glad you were here with me. Thanks for hanging out. I hope I've inspired you to go and bake some bread. But more importantly, I hope that maybe you're thinking of your daily bread a little differently. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.